Recently, I was able to purchase a reproduction 1877 map of Clarksville, Tennessee, my hometown. I've been really excited about it because I've wanted this for a while now. It's a very detailed map and a snapshot of Clarksville in 1877. Now, I can't just hang this on my wall. It really needs to be in a picture frame. So, in lieu of going to a picture frame shop or even one of the big craft stores, where it would cost hundreds and hundreds of dollars to frame, I'm going to build a picture frame myself. I'm going to build it out of walnut, which I have some already, and I'm going to make it mostly from the table saw. I've seen it done before, but I've never done it. It's the first time for me. Why don't you come along with me and let's get started. I've chosen to use walnut as the frame of my map. First thing I got to do is rip it to width. Then over at the planer, I plane it smooth. Taking it back to the table saw, we're going to cut the cove. Now to do this, we take a straight edge and we line it up diagonally across the blade. We raise the blade just slightly and we push the walnut across it at an angle, making sure to keep it tight to the fence. And as you can see, it cuts the profile of the blade. Now we gradually raise the blade a little each time and run our pieces through. And in the end, you have a cove. Now it's really, really rough from where the saw chattered across it. Now I made this sanding block the same profile as the cove to start sanding it. However, I pretty quickly abandoned the block and just ended up sanding by hand. I gotta tell you, this took so very long. I started with a 60 grit and worked my way all the way up to 220. It's just so many grooves to sand out, and I had to pace myself because it really got overwhelming. But I think it really turned out nice in the end. Now I want to add a bead detail to the inside edge. So with a beading bit and my router table, I'm going to put that profile on it here. Now it's over to the miter saw to start cutting the miters for the frame. I've set up a stop on my saw so that I can repeat the same length cuts. And now a little assembly. It's really hard to clamp a frame this large, and I don't have any picture frame clamps. So I've made a block out of MDF that's perfectly 90 degrees to help me line it up and clamp it as I secure it. Once I add the glue to it and clamp it, I make sure it's square, and then I pre-drill and screw in a tiny trim screw in the end. Now these trim screws are just in the top and the bottom, so you can't see them when it's hanging on the wall. Now in a traditional picture frame, you would have a recess where the glass and the picture and the backing all fit flush with the frame. Well, I don't have that recess, so I'm going to have to build up on the back of it to create a recess. And first thing I have to do is make an even line all the way around to line up my build-up material. And that build-up material is just some thin strips of walnut. Now I'm going to glue it and then line it up with the line that we just made. And then with a pin nailer, I'm just going to pin it at the edges. The reason I can't pin it in the middle is because the pin would go through. It's thinner there. Instead, I'm just going to clamp it until it dries. Now we do the other side and the ends as well. Now this makes our recess. Now after that's dry, we're going to add another piece of trim all the way around the perimeter of the frame. This does two things. It makes the frame look thicker, and it also builds up the outside edge of the frame to be flush with our recess pieces that we put on the back. and I didn't want any visible fasteners on this piece, so I just glued and clamped this molding. Now we got to make a French cleat system to hang the picture frame. A French cleat consists of one piece that goes on the back of the frame and one on the wall. They're both cut at a 45-degree angle and they interlock. The half of the French cleat that goes on the back of the frame is glued, pinned, and then screwed in place. Now this piece of the French cleat will get screwed into a couple of studs on the wall, and you can see when you hang the picture on it, it wedges and locks itself on and it can't come off. Now I've made a temporary French cleat part to hang it from the rafters of the shop so that I can finish it. And you can see how it works. Very secure. To finish it, we're going to just use a clear lacquer spray. Next, we need to make a backing to go behind the map. We cut this out of 1/8-inch Baltic birch, and to stiffen it up, I'm just using some more strips of walnut. I'm going to glue these on, and while the glue sets, I'll just weight them down with paint cans and stain cans. Once that's finished, you see how it fits in our built-up recess on the back. To hold it in, we're going to use these figure eights. Normally these are used to hold tabletops on, but I thought they would be a good thing to use to hold this backing in. To recess the figure eights, I just use a Forstner bit and a chisel where necessary. The most nerve-wracking part of this build was handling this large piece of glass. I tell you, I didn't rest easy until it was finally in the frame with the backing down. Now I'm wearing gloves because I've cleaned it with Windex and I don't want to get fingerprints all over it. Once the glass is in the recess, I take our map and lay it out. I'm just using some clear tape to adhere it down to the glass and keep it taut and wrinkle-free. Now we insert our back. And we use our figure eights to fasten it in place. Now here's our finished product. I think it turned out very professional looking. Now, if I took it somewhere to have it framed, as I said before, I have no doubt that it would probably have been $700, $800, $900, maybe $1,000, based on pictures I've had that are smaller that were framed and cost so much. We had about $50 in glass, maybe $10 in assorted other parts. Now, we already had the wood, so we had an advantage there, but still, we would have come out way cheaper.
Well, this thing is huge. It took me a while to figure out where I was going to hang it. It's so big. But I really like how it turned out. I'm super pleased. You know, I'm a big fan of history and local history especially. I'm a big fan of maps. So this really checks all the boxes for me. If you noticed at the beginning of this video, I now have a website, thetennesseetinkerer.com. Thanks to Mrs. Tinkerer for designing it. I think it looks amazing as well. I'd really like it if you check it out. There's a spot on there where you can email me and we can communicate if you have a question. There's also a place where you can join the Tinkerer community. Now, what does that mean? That means every now and then I might send out a newsletter or some behind the scenes pictures or maybe an update or an announcement of an upcoming project. So it should be fun. So if you're interested, please check it out. Please check that box and check me out next time on my next video. Thanks for watching. This thing is huge. It took me a while to find a place to hang it in the house. It's so big. But I really like how it turned out. You know, I'm a big fan of history and local history and old maps. So this really checked all the boxes for me. I really think it turned out nice and I'm very proud of it. If you didn't notice at the beginning of this video, I now have a website, thetennesseetinkerer.com. Thanks to Mrs. Tinkerer, who is an amazing website designer, What?